Hello and welcome back to the Nest and Inside the Iggles live show. Thank you guys very much for joining us on day 2 of Wild Card Week. I told you yesterday that we're going to be coming at you every single day this week, for better or for worse, to make sure that we get everybody ready for what is sure to be just, certainly a football game on Monday night. Against the Philadelphia Eagles against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the last game of Wild Card Weekend. Let's get into it. Guys. Welcome back, Ja. How are you doing? We haven't seen you in, I don't know, feels like a month. A lot has happened.
A lot has happened. What's going on? What's going on? Hello, everybody. Jake, what's up? Thank you for holding me down. I know I've been y'all probably feel like I've been ducking, but I've just been busy. I got a promotion, so on my San Antonio Spurs website. So I've been a little busy, but I am back. I am back, and I know it's been rocky. I know
Rocky is
it's
a
been
word.
rocky. It's been rocky the past month or so, but we are 0-0 going into the playoffs. Let's start there.
Damn
Let's let's just start there because all that is a fact. What you got for me, Jake?
I didn't want you to say that. I didn't want you to come at me with a T-shirt quote. What I didn't. Okay, let's get into it. Yeah, okay. So last time we saw you was the pregame show before the Week 14 game, the second game against the Dallas Cowboys when the Eagles were playing in Dallas. All right. So here's what we're gonna do. All right. We're gonna catch Ja up on everything. He thinks that he can just leave and then come back when the team is 0-0 after all of the pain and suffering that we've all encountered. He thinks that he can just duck us and then come back when things are I don't want to say good, but when things are how they are. All right. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna go through each game that Ja has missed. We're gonna go through week 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remind Ja of what happened in that game. And then we're going to get Ja's optimistic takes. That's what Ja does. He's optimistic prime, or is it Optimus Prime?
Optimistic Prime. Yes,
Optimistic
sir.
Prime. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna hear from him on everything. Okay, so let's start with that Week 14 game. That Week 14 game, the Eagles are coming off their first devastating loss of the season, where they got the big Dom game, where they got absolutely leveled by the San Francisco 49ers, where things started to go wrong. Things started to go wrong. People started to lose faith. Obviously, not you. So Eagles are going to Dallas. In this game, Jalen Hurts is 18 for 27, 197 yards, no touchdowns. In this game, Jalen, AJ, and Devontae all fumble. All three of those fumbles are in the Cowboys side of the field. They're in Cowboys territory. Two of them are in the red zone. In this game, Dak Prescott throws for 271 yards, two touchdowns, one to Michael Gallup, one to CeeDee Lamb. This is the game. Highlight of the game, some might say. Braden Mann throws a fake punt pass. Beautiful spiral play. Best throw of the game by an Eagles player to Quez Watkins. 28 yards on fourth down. It was amazing. It was a gutsy call. That was the last good call that Nick Sirianni's made. Nobody forget that. That's a turning point for the season. In this game, also, we had the Jalen Carter scoop and score off of a Fletcher Cox strip sack. That was the only Eagles touchdown in the game. That is the recap for the Week 14 game, the Philadelphia Eagles at the Dallas Cowboys. Ja, what were your feelings after that game?
Whew. That walk down memory lane, less than ideal circumstances, for sure. Now, in the we're going to go twofold here. We're going to go how I felt in the immediate aftermath of the game, and then
I
how
like
I
that.
felt the next day after some time. Okay, so in the immediate aftermath of the game, I was pissed. I was absolutely pissed. Um, I think the Eagles just kind of letting us down in the way that they did against Dallas is it's just something that's always going to hurt more than any other team. It doesn't matter what's going on with New Orleans or San Francisco or whoever the case may be,
Yep.
who the flavor of the week is. You know what I'm saying? Um, but I told y'all before that I went a couple of years ago to the game here in Dallas where I reside. when the Eagles came down to play a game, and in that stadium, I could feel this amount of energy that was it was palpable, man.
Just
Like
just for what year was this? And
I
like,
believe it was 2021.
okay,
I think it was 2021.
pulling
We
that up.
got we got smacked,
Yep.
and but before the game started, Michael Irvin comes on, the big monitor, and he gives this big hype speech, and the whole crowd is just so damn loud, and the energy was crazy that I turned and I looked at my mom, who was with me, also a huge Eagles fan, of course, and I said, "This is bad. This is very bad. I don't have a good feeling about this." And we proceeded to get destroyed. There's something about Jerry World right now that they have the magic there.
Yeah. It's
As
fantastic.
much as I hate for them to have a home field advantage that feels like it rivals that era of the Legion of Boom 12s in Seattle or Arrowhead, it feels like that right now. So when we go down there, and like you said, all of our best players fumble the ball on their side of the field, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen like that. Not that bad. So that one, I was pissed, very pissed initially. Still mad the next day, but brought it. I was able to kind of rationalize it a little, bring it back to chalk it up to. It's just not a great place to play right now. We're
No.
in a tough part of our schedule, and weird things happened in the game that we were still moving the ball against them, but then those stupid turnovers. So you just kind of chalk that one up as, hey, we're a good home team. They're a good home team. We're divisional opponents at the top of our games at the time, and their home field versus our home field, they won. We went 1-1. So you just kind of call it a wash and move on. That's how I felt.
On the talking about the fumbles there, if you remember in the first the game that was in Philadelphia, the Eagles also fumbled 3 times, but fumble luck was in the Eagles' favor, and there was the Kenny Gainwell fumble and got it back. Jalen fumbled, got it back, and there was that DeAndre Swift fumbling when AJ Brown ran into him, and then Tyler Steen recovered it. So 3 fumbles in that game as well. Fumble luck not in the Eagles' favor that time. I can understand a sense of not fear from you at that point, but it was bad. It was bad.
Mhm.
So at that point, what was your panic meter at from a scale of 1 to 10?
Oh, I was still only at it too.
Jesus Christ, I'm
Yeah.
envious. I constantly
Yeah,
run
I
it
was
at 9.
only at it too. Like, no, I'm not gonna, just hit the panic button because we got beat by a divisional opponent on their home, in their home stadium. And like we said, they're 15-0 there. They've been whooping teams there. Their plus minus differential at home versus on the road is the gap is insane. I don't remember what the numbers are off the top of my head, but it's really crazy how well they perform
Yeah,
there as compared to on the road. So,
I think
I
they're
mean,
currently on like a 15, 16 game home like winning streak or something like that. Something stupid.
plus
Um,
at the time we were still in a position to win the division just by winning out, and that's something that felt conceivable at the time.
Palpable. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your panic button was at a 2. The
Oh,
Philadelphia Eagles, their panic level was at about a 10, because on Monday after that game, Nick Sirianni gets asked, "Is there anything that's going to happen with the play calling?" No, no, no. He says no. Straight up says no. And then the next day, or maybe it was the Wednesday after that, we get we turns out the Eagles demote Sean Desai, put him in the booth. Matt Patricia, congratulations. You are the de facto defensive coordinator. Sean Desai, go color in a book or
I'm
something in the
glad
booth.
you brought this up. I'm glad that you brought this up
Well, I'm
because
gonna bring it up forever.
Nick Sirianni can't win for losing. Number one, if you're living and dying with what Nick Sirianni says in the press conference, knowing he don't say shit, then I need you to look at yourself in the mirror and smack yourself because he's not going to give you anything. He
Well,
is going to lie right to your face, and you're going to eat it up and be mad that he didn't do this and that. And this is the thing. We were already in a situation where fans were criticizing the play calling on defense, on offense like crazy. The difference between the two is there's a guy on the staff with experience calling defenses that was not Sean Desai. Brian Johnson does not have that. I disagree with the move. Let's be clear. I disagree with the move. Matt Patricia hasn't had a good defense, I feel like, since like 2018. It was a panic move. But people were asking for something to be done. Our third down numbers were abysmal. So he does something, and now you're mad at him for doing something because he didn't tell you about it first. When he doesn't, he never tells you what he's thinking. The truth, I don't get that train of thought right there.
I'm okay. So I'm not mad at that part. I'm not mad at him for lying. What I will say to counter that point is yes, Nick Sirianni often in press conferences doesn't. He doesn't. You're correct. He says nothing. That's correct. But
That's why he babbles so much too and stutters because he's just thinking of whatever bullshit to say. He's not telling us anything.
Well, that's not necessarily true. It'll happen with this week 15 game, which was a Monday night game. But for him to just say no and then to be like, actually, like for him to just blatantly, a lot of times he says nothing, but for him to just be like, say the opposite of what's happening is that's I'm not mad at it. It's just psychotic. Along with getting rid of a DC in after 13 games in December, changing your defensive coordinator, which spoiler alert has been much worse.
Yeah.
It's been abysmal.
Terrible decision.
Terrible. But we'll don't worry. We'll make sure that we cover that.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't, though, right?
I saw somebody said, like, well, you wouldn't have flamed the Eagles last year if they would have done the same thing for Jonathan Gannon. And it's like, maybe. I think we probably still would have, though.
That's such a BS what if that I wouldn't even entertain the notion. I wouldn't even listen.
The only difference there is that it would have been Vic Fangio taking over rather than stupid, dumb Matt Patricia. Okay. Week 15. Matt Patricia's first game at Seattle. Game got flexed to Monday night. Jalen's sick. Jalen's deathly ill. All right. That's what we got going into this. Okay. Jalen Hurts, 17 for 31, 143 yards, passing for 143 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was sick. I said that. To be fair, the two scoring drives that he had were the drives directly after he came out of the locker room. So presumably the drives where they pumped him full of Dayquil. In this game, nothing went right. James Bradbury gets lit up at the end of the game because that's when they were like, oh, yeah, we have DK Metcalf and James Bradbury's old and washed. It is the Drew Lock game. And then at the end of the game, Nick Sirianni says that the interception play was his fault. He said that they were playing for a flag. The Eagles ended up losing this game 20-17. The Eagles had a above an 80% chance of to win the game up until the last drive. After this game, 2 questions. Number 1, after Nick Sirianni, and you've already said that you don't trust this man. After Nick Sirianni says that that the play that they had was in order to get a flag, what were your thoughts on that? Did you believe him?
Let's see, now you're moving things around a bit here. You're not asking me specifically about the game.
I'm going to ask you about that. So I had 2 questions.
Okay.
2 questions. First one about the quote.
I do want to answer it, so that's good on your part, but there's like some dust on top of my camera that kept catching my eye. It was pissing me off. Like you said, I don't live and die with what Sirianni said, but at that point, I'm also emotional because of the loss and how it happened, right?
Right.
So my initial reaction to that quote was like, you know how you do like sometimes you have like the high pitched reaction where you're like, what? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, That's how I reacted to hearing that because I couldn't believe that explanation.
Psychotic.
Uh, and this is the thing. Just say something else. If you're going to cover for them, that's fine. I'm good with that. I'm good with you falling on your sword, but don't give me going for a pass interference call. Give me anything else. Just say that you called a shot play. You know what I'm saying? In that situation, you wanted to be aggressive, and you trusted your Pro Bowl quarterback to throw it to your Pro Bowl receiver and make a big play.
Yeah,
Just
say it's
say
a
that.
bad rep.
Yeah, yes, just say anything, but we're trying to get a pass interference call. That was a
So dumb.
horrendous explanation. Fine with you lying. Terrible decision on what execution was just very poor. Execution was ridiculous.
Very dumb. Now, how did you feel about the game?
Execution was very poor. It was ridiculous. I couldn't believe that we let Drew Lock do that to us on the last drive. Anything but that, like a ball over the top to lose. That's something that Jonathan Gannon would not have allowed last year. Not to Drew Lock. Not to Drew Lock. The biggest criticism last year of the defense was that we only beat up on worse quarterbacks. Drew
He
Lock was
certainly
not
was.
going to do that to Jonathan Cannon's defense. I don't give a damn what you say. Oh my! It was ridiculous. Losing like that was tough. And at the beginning of the season, or before the first game, we had that show episode where we predicted the schedule, wins and losses.
Yep.
I said that Seattle was one of my big concerns. We always lose there, but it felt like a winnable game. Despite the low production, the stats from Jalen, the defense played well enough early, and the offense did just enough to put us in position to win the game. You have to win that game. So after that, yeah, I started to teeter for sure. Now my concern level is up to a 5,
Okay.
and yeah, at that point, I'm holding on to my optimism, okay? Because at the end of the day, we're still coming off of one of the most difficult stretches in NFL history. We still beat, Buffalo, Kansas City during that stretch, so there's some things that we had multiple teams in that stretch with 10 days rest. Like
Two weeks
there's a
in a row.
bunch of weird things going on. Zach Cunningham in and out of the lineup. Kevin Byard knew what's the Shaq Leonard, all this different all these different things happening on the defense side of the ball, when that side probably more than anyone needs that consistency, continuity, playing with each other to gel and know what the other person is going to do. We haven't had that. So that, yeah, now Levante Maddox is back too, and Roby's out, and then he's in, and then he can't tackle, and can he cover still? I don't know what's
Maddox
going on.
didn't come back till Arizona.
I know, but I'm
Oh
saying
yeah.
now, but he
Yeah.
was there, and now in Arizona, we'll get to that game too. But I'm just saying the consistency of the people in and out of the lineup has just been awful for the continuity of the team.
It's been truly, truly horrendous. And this is where that I believe it was that same press conference where Nick said that he called a play to get a flag. And for people who've been watching this, I've been hitting on this, and this is one of the reasons why every single week I don't want there to be a brotherly shove, and why I am actually going to campaign that the brotherly shove gets banned in the offseason. In this game, it's on Monday night. Christian McCaffrey is on the Manning cast. Christian McCaffrey calls a play, predicts the play however they have him do it, and they say that it's going to be a run because the tight end pulls. And then in the press conference, one of the reporters asks, Nick, did you see that? Do you have any worries about your offense being predictable? Nick says, no. He laughs it off. He says, no, that's crazy. Christian McCaffrey is just a really smart guy. It's like, well, Nick, actually, he said, we haven't run this play out of this formation. It's like that is one of the 5 plays that you run. It's actually pretty easy to predict it. But what he says, because that was on a 3rd and 6, he said, actually, what we were trying to do is to make it to 4th and short on that play. That's when Nick says things that are real when he's just talking out of his ass and he says things that are real. And I'm like, what the hell is this moron talking about? Why would you go for a fourth and short? Get a first down, dumbass. Quit
Yeah.
playing for your play. We know that you have the play. We know that it's unstoppable. Don't go for that play. Go get a first down, you idiot. You dumb moron. That's where I'm at with this guy. I'm here. I'm here with Nicholas. I'm here with him.
Yeah, no, that I agree with you there. There's a fine line between coach speak and just kind of letting things out and saying kind of biting yourself in the ass with some shit that you just shouldn't have said.
Yep.
And that was one of those times too. And my brother expressed this maybe about 2 months ago while we were still winning,
Yep.
that he was concerned about the amount of brotherly shove use that we had, that we were installing. But I didn't mind it, just because the fact that there were still other plays at that time happening, like explosive plays here and there. We were just fresh off the 6-game stretch for AJ Brown 125. Like, there was still a lot of that involved, so I wasn't worried about it. But once you get into a point where you're so predictable and you're playing super conservative for some reason, that because you just like, as long as we go get 9 yards, we can use this play. Now you're hamstringing your offense. And you have all of these explosive players that need to be getting the ball. We were even going through a stretch there where it seemed like the only players that were getting the ball were A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and maybe Goddard occasionally. It's like, no, the other guys too. Like,
One
throw
of
the
these
ball to DeAndre Swift, throw the ball to Zacchaeus, throw the ball to Julio. Like, you have to make them respect everyone as a threat. Otherwise, they won't.
Yeah, one of these games, and I think it might have actually been this one, was the one where only AJ, Devontae, and Dallas got targeted. Like I think that might have been the Seattle game.
Unacceptable.
Yeah, no. Why even have a wide receiver 3? Okay. On to week 16, Christmas Day. Christmas Day, another Monday night or a Monday afternoon game against at home against the New York Giants. In this game, Jalen Hurts, 24 for 38, 301 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. That was a pick 6. The game was 20-3 at halftime. There were 3 brutal plays in this game. There was the pick 6. There was the Darius Slayton 69-yard touchdown, and there was the kickoff fumble to start off the second half. The good plays in this game, the DeAndre Swift run for the touchdown that ended up getting called back where his knee barely grazed the ground. That was an incredible run. One of my favorite runs of the year so far. That was the run where he's like, you know what? If I don't score here, they're just going to do the brotherly shove. I need to get my way into the end zone. And he did that, but unfortunately his knee touched the ground. And then also in that game, the first punt return by Britton Covey returned it for 50 yards, which ended up earning him a single target in that game on a screen pass that he got 7 yards and ran into Jordan Mailata. The Eagles barely hung on a what could have been a career drive for Tyrod Taylor or Tyrod Taylor. I don't remember how he's saying it now. But the game ends with a Keely Ringo interception. After this game,
Oh yeah,
where were you at?
I was elated because we won.
Finally.
We won. It was a sloppy game. It was another divisional game. It is the Giants. I know we're supposed to just beat up on the Giants, but what did we say about Daboll? We respect Daboll, right? He shouldn't have won Coach of the Year last year, but he's still a good coach. They showed in the first half what we expect to see from them. So I wasn't going to completely, what I'm saying, go the other way because the second half didn't go exactly how we wanted to. They made some adjustments. They tried to come back. We held them off. This is the way of the NFL sometimes. Teams are good enough to make pushes sometimes, and when they make those adjustments, and as long as you can come out with the W, that's fine. Falcons fans I'm sure they would be fine if the Patriots were able to come back and stop at 25 points and they won that game 28-25 in the Super Bowl, as opposed to losing it 31-28, I believe was the final score of that Super Bowl. But shit happens. Win the game, and they won the game. The Dallas had lost the day before that too, so then 49ers ended up losing later. It was a magical day. I was very happy. Plus I was drunk, so it's hard to tell me anything negative, if anything was going to bring me out of my joy. So much family over too. It was great. It was a great day. I was feeling good after that. I would say that my panic level after that, about a 4.
So you went down after that?
Yeah, a 4.
Okay.
You got win the game you're supposed to win, and we did that.
You brought up the first half, second half adjustments. In the first half, it all was Tommy DeVito, to be fair. And then once Tyrod Taylor came in, that's when they started getting those points.
Which happens sometimes. We didn't game plan for him. Tyrod Taylor was always the better quarterback. I don't know why they even did the whole Tommy DeVito thing.
Because fun? I don't know.
Well, I hope they enjoyed themselves.
They have
the 6th overall pick in the draft, and you have fun with that. And whoever you take, hopefully it works out. Probably not, though.
They had a significant leverage in the financial market of chicken cutlets. I'm assuming. I'm not entirely sure.
That was a fun little thing right there. That
was pretty good. That was fun for them.
His agent being on there too. Look,
what the hell is that
guy? Dressed like the Pink Panther bad guy or whatever. The disguise.
Like asking a blind guy to draw an Italian. Sheesh.
Oh man, that was great.
So you're at 4 there. And that was Matt Patricia's second game. Matt Patricia's second game. Played 2 games against backup quarterbacks. Whatever is going to happen, whatever could happen if he played a starting quarterback. Well, we got an answer. Week 17, New Year's Eve, at home against the Arizona Cardinals.
Man, I ended that night watching Avengers Infinity War. You know what I'm saying? So
you just like happy endings? You just hey. Hey, what if half of everybody died? Then maybe I would feel some relief. After that, I had 3 shows to do that night. If I can do 3 shows after that loss, I can do anything in the entire world. It was very dumb. In this game, I only have 4 lines here. Cardinals never punt. Julio Jones has 2 touchdowns. The 1st and 20 sequence, 2 QB runs. I want to get your take on this. 1st and 20 sequence with 2 QB runs, then a screen to Kenny Gainwell where Devontae Smith gets hurt. And Sidney Brown had the interception. That was the good play. Sidney Brown. And I don't know if you saw this on the red zone thing. Like when Scott Hansen at the end of the year does like the countdown from like the 10 best red zone plays. Number 4 was Sidney Brown's interception. And then number 2 was the AJ Brown catch against the Commanders. But yes, Sidney Brown had the cool interception, and no one gives a shit because that game was
he had 21 miles per hour on that interception return, man. Faster than any other defender in the league this
fastest year. And you know what's sad? Fastest that any Eagles player has gone this year.
Don't think about that. We haven't given Quez a chance to show his speed.
We did. We just did.
we got to give him the ball on like a screen and break it. Let him run 100 yards. See how.
Why would you say that out loud? Why would you manifest that? What are you doing?
It would be something different.
What kind of ask for a Quez Watkins? What are you doing?
We need something that nobody will expect. The Quez Watkins screen.
They have a 20% chance of guessing that play. It's one of the Eagles. It's a screen. We know it's gonna happen, and it's gonna happen to somebody who doesn't need the
I
ball.
know. Have y'all? So I haven't been here for a while, but I feel like somebody has had to have thought about the remember the Titans coach Boone when he's like, "I just run 6 plays, give them time, they always work." Because that's what I think about when I think about this damn.
Brian Johnson is Coach Boone. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, so he at least thinks he's Coach Boone.
Jesus.
Coach Boone won in the end, so
That is not happening.
I guess that story's still being written, and he can turn out to be Coach Boone.
Right.
And wouldn't you like that? Like that would be awesome.
The
Right
Eagles
now,
lose. The Eagles lose this game 35-31. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to. This is like this is like the montage at the beginning of Coach Boone's movie, if that's what this is. This is him when things are I guess, to be fair, in that movie a lot of things went poorly, but not that was more systemic rather than him doing it to himself. That was a societal thing rather than
Sidney
Brian
Brown
Johnson.
going down is the equivalent of Bertier. You get hurt, get into the car accident. You know what I'm saying? He was out. We're kind of on the right track right now. Now that I think about it, hold on, we're about to make history. Somebody's going to make a movie about us in this season. Okay, hey, who gets to play Nick Sirianni? Ryan Gosling, right?
No, Tim Robinson, actually. Tim Robinson looked a lot like Nick Sirianni. Or vice versa.
After the Cardinals game, bro, definitely up to we're at an 8. We're at an 8 panic meter.
That's correct.
That game was
Jalen Hurts' first possession in the second quarter was with 1:50 left.
His damning on don't tell me that. It is damning on so many levels, just on both sides of the ball. I don't understand the play calling and a lot of those situations, especially the one that you mentioned, where quarterback draw, and then you go for the screen, and then his explanation afterwards, Brian Johnson's, where he's talking about the look that they gave, and they had 2 plays, and if they gave that pressure look, then that was the play that they went with. And I'm like, that you're just allowing the defense to completely dictate what you're doing and forcing you to go conservative instead of attacking it downfield. And be like, that's always your go-to when it comes to these pressure looks, is trying to trick them or slow them up with the screen.
Yep.
And I don't understand why we have what's rated still after this season as the best offensive line in professional football according to Pro Football Focus, and we can't pick up a blitz. We can't hold in an extra guy to block and attack them downfield to make them pay and go vertical. I said something about this on X or Twitter, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Excuse my French. Something to this same effect of what I'm saying right now. And somebody said, "Yeah, I see what you're saying, but there aren't really many plays to get 20 yards." And I'm like, stop that, because that's a BS coach speak too. That's something that they say in there aren't plays to get. Yes, there are.
We literally saw it the week before that with Jalen's pass to AJ Brown.
They literally have a name. They're called shot plays, right? Like, what do you think a go ball is? You know what I'm saying? There's literally plays. I would break out my customized Madden playbook, and I'll show you about 18 of them in one playbook. You know what I'm saying? From the goddamn shotgun. There's a lot of them. What are you talking about? I think that that one right there, I think was so glaring and made me feel bad. That sequence alone is what helped to shoot me up to an 8 in terms of concern. Because if you're doing that in that situation, or we need this game, and then to make matters worse, Dallas loses one of their last games. Which one did they lose? Was it last week? Which one did they lose?
No, they won their last 2 games. They won in week 17 against Detroit. And then they won in week 18 against
Detroit got robbed. Detroit got robbed there. What was the one before that? That was the one they lost in.
The one before that was of course, I know this right here. Dolphins on
Dolphins.
Christmas Eve.
Yeah, so they lost to the Dolphins, and then San Fran lost to the damn Rams.
Ravens.
We still the Rams too, the last game of the season, right?
Oh
They
yeah,
lost.
they did. Yeah.
So we could have still came out with the number one seed, and we'd have done our job and beat the Cardinals and the damn Giants.
It was
And
the Sam Darnold 49ers against Carson Wentz. Like if they did their starters,
I
I
don't
don't
know,
know.
man. If they did their starters, and maybe Matt Stafford plays too, and
Right.
maybe Carson has a great game, and the game plan is different if their starters are playing, and they still pull it out. They
Right.
played the starters for the 49ers played the Rams about a month or two ago, and they took overtime to beat them then. So that
Right.
game was never going to be just a gimmick. The Rams were playing very well. So yeah, the frustration at that point was through the roof. And I didn't have much to say. Me and another guy at the HEB I work at, um, he's a Chiefs fan. We've been talking mess all year. I seen him after not seeing him for a couple of weeks. Our schedules not matching up, and all the luster was gone from the crap talking back and forth, and we both just called a truce. We were like, there's no
Everything's
point
bad.
in talking crap anymore. Both teams have kind of took the fun and excitement out of it. It was really sad.
Yeah, that was to be fair. The one other good I'd say the other good things. The one other good thing that came out of the Cardinals game. DeAndre Swift hit 1,000 yards for the first time in his career against all odds.
And
Against
then
all odds.
got robbed of a Pro Bowl spot. But we're not going to get into that.
No, he's is he not? DeAndre Swift is a Pro Bowler.
Oh! You said DeAndre Swift. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about Devontae.
Yeah, Devontae Smith, not somehow. Very dumb. Very
Yeah,
dumb.
I don't get that. I don't get
Okay. But yeah, that 2 QB run the screen thing, and then for Devontae Smith to get hurt. And this is all the while happening while AJ Brown is not talking to the press. Then we go to the beginning of last week. AJ Brown says, I'm going to talk today. AJ Brown does his locker room. I would call it a press conference at that point. It's more than just a locker room interview. He's talking for damn near 15 minutes. I believe it's 13 minutes and 37 seconds. I don't know why I say believe that. That's what it was. 13 minutes and 37 seconds. He's talking to the media. How much of that did you watch? Did you watch the whole thing? Did you just catch the snippets? What all did you?
Snippets.
Okay. So the big takeaway, one of the biggest takeaways from it, he says that he's not mad at Nick Sirianni. Trust Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni is incredibly loyal. He comes out and says that Nick Sirianni took a bullet for them because they freelance. They checked to a different play in the Seattle game. Vibes are high. We've seen what we've seen for the past 5 weeks from this team up at that point. We didn't like what we saw, but somehow AJ Brown talking shot the vibes back up, skyrocketed. Where were you at after the AJ Brown interview?
That didn't move me either way.
Really?
Yeah, that didn't move me either way because I still need to see it. First of all, I always thought that some of the calls that we started to hear then about Nick Sirianni were going too far, going way too far. I mean, his record still since he's been here. We have to rehash this again about how I at least felt that he was robbed his rookie year with being the coach of the year because of turning the team around like he did from a projected 4-win team to 9 wins in the playoffs. Search the exact same thing that they gave Dable the award for the following year. The next year was the let's see if Jalen is even a starting quarterback year, and we go to the Super Bowl. So then we come and we're 10-1 to start the season with a myriad of issues that everybody can see and is talking about week after week. We're still winning games, and he has a bad month. And y'all want to talk about firing him? This is the stupidest. It drives me absolutely nuts.
Oh,
Like, how do you think an organization like the Steelers has gotten the amount of respect that it has because they're patient. They're patient. They've had coaches, three coaches in like 30 years or something crazy like that. They're patient. Sometimes it's hard to win. Things go wrong. You don't have to react so strongly every time the wind blows in a direction that makes you uncomfortable. Like give them time to work through this. Give them time to fix it. We were talking about a potential coach of the year for 2 years in a row. One bad month should not erase. I don't care that how bad it is,
It's
and
historic.
it's bad.
It's
Yes, and
historic.
it is extremely bad. This is also the first year that he's dealing with losing both of his coordinators, who both went to get head coaching jobs. So he did something very right there, right? So this time he messed up on the coordinators. He made a bad decision midway through. That are we going to say that it completely cost a team that was already teetering when it happened?
I
Do
would.
we know that Sean Desai was going to do so much better than what Matt Patricia's done? That the team because I just don't know that. I just don't know that.
I would.
So
I would say Matt. Yeah, the Matt Patricia thing. To get into it because it's with this Cardinals game is when we started to see again first game Matt Patricia had against a starting quarterback, and it went as bad as it could possibly go. The Cardinals had the success rate in the second half, a better success rate in the second half than the Chiefs did in the second half of the Super Bowl. It was so terrible. And the thing is that we saw this because they interviewed Hassan Reddick after this game, and Hassan Reddick, they're talking to Hassan Reddick about how does he feel when he's dropping into coverage so much, buddy. That is your best athlete on defense. That is your best defensive player, and you have him dropping into coverage. All Hassan Reddick should do is run forward and get to
Yep.
the quarterback. But what
So
Matt
fire
Patricia
that
is
guy.
doing,
So fire Patricia. Don't fire Nick Sirianni. This isn't as bad as like Andy Reid picking Juan fucking Castillo to run the
true,
defense or whatever, or Billy
that is
Davis as our defensive coordinator. These aren't it's, you know it's not that. It's not that. And it's still the fact remains should not erase all of the good that he's done so far in his tenure in Philadelphia. I think
but
it's ridiculous.
how much of the good that's been done at his time in Philadelphia is on Nick Sirianni? I don't see
All
what
of
he
it,
offers to the team. I
all of
don't.
it.
I don't.
He's the one who picked Shane. Shane wasn't a hot name at the time for a whole bunch of marquee spots. People were like, "Who is this guy?" He brought him on. He brought Jonathan Gannon on, and as much as people love to criticize Jonathan Gannon, we still had 70 plus sacks and a top two defense throughout the majority of the regular season. Excuse me. That
I
defense, many times last year, we were in situations similar to the one at the end of the Cardinals game. It was a one possession game, and the defense needed to get a stop, and the
How many
defense
times
got
did
a
that
stop.
happen in 2022? They blew out every team.
Not every team. We had a few where they needed to get a stop, and they did it damn near every time.
See, in my take on that is that that's more an indictment against the quarterbacks that the Eagles played in 2022. Yeah, Jonathan Gannon was able to defensively is that yes, they were able to rack up 70 sacks, but against Trevor Simeon's Saints, is that who it was?
Se-
Like
70 sacks is 70 sacks, and we will not
what?
downplay its significance historically.
No. I get that. I get that. But I again, I don't. And again, yes, he did hire. Okay, to go backtrack. He did hire Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon. And again, like you said, those two guys got head coaching jobs because they're amazing. Those guys are amazing. Nick Sirianni gave up the play calling in 2021. Offensive head coach who doesn't call plays, you don't really offer much because you're just going to hire these offensive coordinators who are going to get picked up by another team in 2 years. Nick's to me,
There's more than just calling plays when it comes to managing the entirety of the team, and
and how's that
he,
going though?
he, over the past month, But yeah, come on, before that, his record is something that you can't really look at and say anything bad about at all. He's been winning at such a high clip since he's been there, and like I say, even to start the year, we're talking about 2 to 3 months as opposed to the last month that's been bad. He's been good the majority of the season. The decisions that he's made, when to go for it, when not to go for it. All right, you're going to call the play or whatever, but it's my decision to be aggressive here. Is I helped you develop this game plan. You don't think he's in the room for a lot of the game plan development that's gone on over the past few years, as well as the guys. Of course, they're going to get the credit that they deserve, and they got that. That's why they got their jobs. But coaching trees are credited to the original coach for a reason, and we're not going to stop that trend either because we're mad about how the last month went.
I mean, and you brought up a few things there to go into the riskiness of his thing. He doesn't do that in the biggest spots though. Again, we just talked about the 1st and 20 and how he totally turted down his leg there, and he wanted to be conservative there. We're talking about
That bothered me.
him punting on 4th and 3 in the Super Bowl. We're talking those things. Yeah, he goes for it on in the second quarter against. He does the brotherly shove in the second quarter against Dallas. Yeah, okay. As far as that goes,
That's not
relatively
it.
low stakes though.
That's not it. Come on now. We even still during his tenure, without the brotherly shove, we've still been one of the most aggressive teams in the league over the past few years, going for it on fourth down,
That's
and we've
true.
even gone for it at times on our side of the field. And those where we've dropped back to pass it as what, not just the brotherly shove on their side of the field. So, excuse me, on our side of the field, he has done that. That's the reason why it didn't make sense for him to not go for it on that 4th and 3 in the Super Bowl. Why he's choosing to throw the screen, or he's okay with that play call. And some of that, him saying he's okay with it, is him backing up his guy and taking the bullet and falling on his sword for Brian Johnson, just the same way that he does for. He's not going to say a bad word about Brian Johnson. One of the things that Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon both said after they left, because at that point, having no reason to lie and to gas up Nick, was crediting Nick for how he was detail oriented and held their feet to the fire to make sure that their stuff was working right and that they thought it through and through. Those are the things that a head coach that's involved, that knows what he's doing, should be doing, and they gave him credit for that. And I think that that's important. These guys just aren't good enough right now. That we didn't get the good guys. What the offense or the rest of the NFL figured out what we're doing. These coordinators can't figure it out. You can't bring them back next year. If you try to bring the same guys back next year and then the same thing happens or is worse, then we can start talking about moving on from Nick. But not now. It's way too early.
Man, this is gonna be a good conversation to have in the next couple weeks here, I believe. But man, I'm done with him, man. To me, in my mind, the guy's gone out and said that he doesn't want any blame to go to Brian Johnson. He wants the blame all to himself. He says that it's his offense. He's gone out and said that this is the exact same offense that they ran the past 2 years. It's like,
But let
buddy,
me ask you a question. Where would Baltimore be if they fired John Harbaugh after some of the down years that they had after Flacco left? He's a good coach. They had a couple of down years, and now look at them. Like, give them time to build it back to how it's supposed to be, but just flipping coaches over and over, that's what bad organizations do, not
I,
good ones.
I mean, you say that this is what the Eagles do. We saw Chip Kelly gone 3 years. We saw Doug Peterson gone. What was it, 5 years? Had a Super Bowl ring in his
That is
pocket.
not a recipe for sustainable success.
I
But At,
mean,
at
these
some point,
coaches are getting immediate success though.
no, at some point, coaches are going to be hesitant to come here because they're going to say the first time something goes wrong, they're just going to get rid of me. That
Or
that
you could be Andy Reid.
What do you mean?
You could have the tenure of an Andy Reid. Like
Nah.
it's not. And to be fair,
But if
Chip
we,
Kelly going away, them getting rid of Chip Kelly, justified. Them getting rid of
yeah,
Doug Peterson. They talked to Doug Peterson after the 14-11-1 season. They had the conversation with him. They said, "How are you going to fix things?" Doug didn't have the answers. They got rid of Doug. Now this conversation is going to come to Nick Sirianni. They're going to say, "How are you planning on fixing this?" And
what was
in
that?
my mind,
What
I
was
don't.
that season record though? You said for Doug 4-11-1. You said
4-11-1.
okay. Well, we're 11-6 going into the playoffs.
This,
Like I don't want it. It's completely different. It's
I don't.
completely different.
I don't know. I mean, the downfall is historic, though. Like it's they were 10-1. They were 10-1, and they didn't get to 12 wins. That's the first time a team's done that since 1986 with
And
Rich
Mike
Kotite.
Tomlin and the Steelers were 11-0, missed the playoffs or whatever, had a catastrophic collapse, lost in the first, however that went. I don't remember exactly how that ended. And did the Pittsburgh Steelers, because that was also a historic loss in terms of how their season started versus how they finished. Did they fire Mike Tomlin?
But that's how that organization's run. Yeah, Mike Tomlin hasn't had a season below 500, but it's been a
And
whole
neither
bunch
has
of
Nick
mediocrity.
Sirianni. And neither has Nick Sirianni. And he's
But
made the playoffs all 3 years and took us to a Super Bowl and won. You do not fire that guy because of a bad month.
but it's been more than a month, is the thing.
Okay, a month and a half. Even still, you don't fire that guy for that. That's reactionary. That's emotional. You can't operate like that. And like I said, you talk about you could have an Andy like career in tenure. You have to look like it's been a decade now since, or over a decade since he's been here, and since then we've been, bringing guys in and shipping them out. If that trend continues, people will be hesitant to come. They're going to say they're not that Eagles organization anymore that's patient like they were when they had Andy. That's just not the case. You don't hold on to that reputation forever.
I want to keep going with this thing. I want to continue to have. I want to keep having this conversation, but we're running out of time. I got to get to a show. Oof. This is fun. This is fun. It's incredibly interesting. You make good points. Listen, you make good points, but okay, we got to keep going on the week 18. You do make good points, and I don't want to say that you don't. These are good points. Constant turnover for your head coach can certainly be a detriment. I do agree with that. Okay,
we'll come back to it another day.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure there'll be plenty of opportunity.
There's going to be a lot. Week 18. Let's get to that. The most recent game, the most recent hell that we've lived through. At New York, at MetLife. The game was not the absolute winter apocalypse that it was billed to be. AJ goes down. Turns out not as bad as we thought. Jalen's finger turns into an abomination of a hand. The Eagles continue to have no answer to the blitz against a team that blitzed the absolute piss out of them just 2 weeks prior. Hassan Reddick constantly dropping into coverage. And my boy, the people's champion, Sidney Brown, done for the season. Huge detriment. Going to have some big, I don't want to say repercussions, but it's going to affect the Eagles in the offseason a lot, talking about who they're going to get for defensive backs. He's not going to have an offseason. He's going to come back to play next year in January. It's going to be bad. That's what happens in this game. After all of this, after seeing this hell unfold, a lot of it was the second stringers on offense. Turns out the defense mostly is just second stringers by themselves. But what was your panic meter? What is your panic meter currently at?
My panic meter after that Giants game didn't do a ton.
Really?
Yeah, because before I truly get into that, first I want to say I hate MetLife. I hate that field so bad. Like 20 season ending injuries this year on the MetLife field. I heard
3 alone are Achilles. We had Aaron, there was Jalen Phillips, and then there was Al Woods, all on MetLife. Achilles alone.
Ridiculous. Just
I told my wife about all that, and she said, "Well, yeah, why don't they get new turf?" I said, "Oh, honey,
yeah,
new turf."
As far as my panic meter though, the last game of the season where it's kind of like I feel like the players were only half invested.
which
Like they,
turns out can lead to AJ getting his knee all blasted up.
yeah, it's just I'll tell you what, I want to see more of that. More like slant plays to AJ, which I feel like we don't do enough of. And
No,
he had a reputation coming to the team for
he
being like
still does.
he can only run the slant. We'll run the damn slant, okay? Throw him the ball. I don't understand how we went 6 games of 125 plus yards with him, and then just forgot he existed for the majority of the latter part of the season. But yeah, I just feel like some of the players were kind of checked out. Probably didn't even want to be out there because it's like let's just kind of rest up and get geared up for the playoffs. Um, we're trying to play and like hopefully Dallas loses and nobody really thought that Dallas was going to
No,
lose that damn game. So like guys just needed to get through it as healthy as possible. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do that because of that notion of playing for a chance. It didn't deserve that. And I usually don't do the deserve thing, but if you lose 4 of the last 5 games or whatever, you don't deserve to win the division.
not even a little bit.
You really don't. So yeah, so just chalk that one up to a whatever. I'm just moving on. I don't care. The biggest part that bothers me about that is that now I have a Giants fan in the house, and I
Oh
have
yeah,
to
you do, don't you?
that put that game into the rotation on family hangout days. So yeah, I have to watch Marcus Mariota in the Eagles uniform in the future just because I have to
First
watch that damn game.
first play of Marcus Mariota against
Oh
the
my god!
New York Giants throws an interception. God
At
damn.
halftime, or no, before halftime, even when they went up 17-3 or 17-0, whatever it was,
Yeah,
I was like,
24-0.
oh, I'm going. No, but even before that, when they
Oh,
got to like 17, I was like, all right, I'm going upstairs. I'm gonna like play the video game or something, and I'll turn the game on off to the side, but I'm only
right.
gonna have to be paying attention at that point. Yeah, I'm not moving on that game. Now, here's the thing. So because after the season's over, we collapsed like we did. It looked ugly. It was ugly.
It was incredibly ugly.
It was incredibly ugly. Yes. I sat
Violently
back.
ugly.
I sat back and I started thinking about the chances in the playoffs. So anything could happen. We could get on the run. Who have we seen get on the run before? We've seen 2 Giants teams, 9-7, come in and go on the run. Not only that, but that Ravens team in 2012. I believe they lost 4 of their last 5 games or something like that. And then they went on a run. This is the same team that started 10-1. We were in the Super Bowl last year. There's a lot of talent on this team. There's no reason why they can't figure it out right now. And it
Three
actually
reasons.
helps. It actually helps, I think, to be playing a team that you've already beaten this year and beat them handily, 25-11. So I am very optimistic now going in that all we need to do is beat that first team. That's off to the races, baby. It's off to the races. Be optimistic. Don't you still believe in Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goddard and this offensive line? What are you talking about? That's DeAndre Swift back there, Pro Bowler. Come on, man. We
Yeah,
got
but the brain is Brian Johnson.
Darius Slay gonna come back. Darius Slay's coming back. That's gonna help.
Darius Slay is not Ray Lewis.
Darius Slay is not Ray Lewis, but we'll finally have back Darius Slay, Avante Maddox, and Avante Maddox and Darius
Yeah.
Slay.
Okay. Yeah. You guys aren't holding Ray Lewis's jockstrap. He'll kill him.
Yes, but we don't need him. Well, it would be nice to have him, but we're just gonna go with what we got. We'll be good. We'll be good, man.
I hope you're right. I
We'll
hope you're
get
right.
started with the bake show, and then we'll take it from there. Then
Well,
everybody's going to be like, "Oh my God, what happened to the Eagles?" You know, that's how it goes.
time will tell. Time will tell. Do you have any other closing thoughts?
Um, No, I do not have any other closing thoughts except to say, go Birds.
Go Birds.
Don't be scared. That's the closing thought. Don't be scared. Y'all too emotional.
It's
I
not.
know.
I know my emotions have been drained.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
I don't have them anymore. I'm beaten. I'm battered. I don't, man, it's just it's not, I don't know. I'm numb.
It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be a Victory Tuesday next week.
Well, we will see. All right. Thank you guys very much for joining us, for hanging out with us for an hour on this Tuesday night. We'll be back with you tomorrow, probably around the same time. We'll have something else to talk about. It is wild card week, so we will be with you all week. Thank you guys very much again for joining us. That is Jalil Williams. Jalil Williams. I said it right. And my name is Jake Beckman. Go Birds, baby.
Go Birds.